Yeah, worked it
Yes.
all out.
It is. Will you
How you
check it for me?
Good.
I just started.
Your what?
Flying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're on, I think.
Doing fine.
Probably 12 to 20 hours.
Really?
Can't count.
Okay, I need everybody to turn on their mics, please. Okay, perfect, thank you. Perfect.
Turn them on.
Gotta
Turn
go
them
off and
on.
on.
Just line it up.
Like that, like right up.
I got it. Oh, there's a green light on the inside there. Just push it. Different run.
Yeah. I didn't know if there was an agenda, so I don't have that. If there is,
That's how it works.
we're winging it.
Or we, usually Diane kind of asks or types something up, but
Okay.
really,
We don't have an agenda today, so. Sorry.
We usually do a roll call.
Okay.
And she usually does.
Do we call it our meeting to?
Oh, yeah, let's call the meeting to order.
Okay.
And we need to have a roll call.
Okay, so I have Bill, Caitlin, Larry, Greg, Mary, right? Yep.
And Jim.
Jim. Help me, help me. I did pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you did too.
All right.
Okay. I guess Seth is up.
okay, I'm up. All right, so, as far as things that I wanted to cover, last night at the city commission meeting, I went before the city commission and got approval to spend the money for the KDOT grant on the AWAS. So after this meeting, I'm gonna meet with Susan, get the purchase order, and get that ordered. They said it should take about 6 to 8 weeks to build it. So probably around late September, early October, it should be installed.
Shut it off.
And then also at the meeting, went for the fuel pedestal. So we had the KDOT grant for that. And so I will be contacting them this afternoon to replace, or to upgrade from the M3000 to the M4000. I don't have a timeline as far as when that will be done. I just got how much it would cost to purchase and that sort of thing. So hopefully that will probably be around about the same time. I don't think they'll have to special build anything. It's just a pre-made product. They'll just have to get shipped and then installed. So, as most of you probably are aware, Rachel no longer works for the city, so I don't have a current boss. So, we're short one person there as far as the airport staffing goes. Then you have me, and then as most of you are aware, Jason's last day was Saturday, so I'm the airport guy. So, that being said, I am a little overstaffed, or understaffed and overworked, so please bear with me on that. But if you do have anything, let me know. I mean, we talked about a few things beforehand. Then the other thing, the big thing that I was going to talk about for this meeting was the Kansas Air Tour, which was kind of the purpose of having this meeting so soon.
Can we back up to the staff meeting? Sorry,
Yes. Go for it.
Want to talk about Warcraft? We'll leave it off.
Oh, so Wordcraft, I didn't ask them. They heard about our staffing issue with Jason leaving, and they volunteered. They have a couple pilots that are in training, and so when they're not off flying, they have them out mowing and stuff. So Graham was there yesterday, and he finished up the mowing portion. So we will have some assistance when they're not flying. It won't be every day or all day, but a few hours here and there. So.
Do you know their names?
One of them is Graham Mosley, and the other one is Connor Fess. I don't know if you've seen him around or not.
They're pretty-
Connor's there quite a bit. I mean, he's over at the Warcraft hangar, but he's typically there doing stuff for them. Graham, he hasn't really done a whole lot around the airport. He's mainly just done some flying and stuff. So Kansas Air Tour. I was working with Allie, Rachel, and Jackson on kind of getting an outline of what we were going to do for the tour. And as I said, Rachel has resigned, and now Allie's gone also. So the stuff that they were working on didn't quite get completed. So Jackson and I were talking about it before the meeting on what we're going to have to kind of reorganize and accomplish. So the template that we kind of had laid out was The pilots will start to arrive approximately 11 to 11:15 is about the timeline when they'll be showing up. They're projecting about 30 to 40 planes since we're pretty much the first stop. So usually they have a heavier volume on the front end. So about 30 to 40 planes, roughly about 60 pilots, because they usually have an extra person or two with them. And then as far as events, the things that we kind of kicked around was we'll have some users, businesses of the airport, kind of have kind of like a, I won't say job fair, but just have, I'm going to clear out the Ellis hangar and have booths and stuff set up so that way if it is kind of forced weather, if there's a sprinkling or whatever, we'll have a sheltered area. Have, you know, that sort of set up so people can kind of learn about Fort Scott, what we do, that sort of thing. We are the lunch stop, so we're going to work on, and that was one of the things that they were going to kind of work on, was getting maybe someone to sponsor the lunch or cook the lunch, that sort of thing. So that's one of the things I'm going to be taking over. We're going to try to get school-age children, about middle school. So once again, that was one thing I'm going to try to do. As far as other events, especially with the kids being there, they're going to need some activities besides just looking at planes. So one of the things that we kind of kicked around was having like a build your own airplane. First I was thinking like some models or something, you know, like the little balsa wood airplanes, and, you know, have kind of some sort of competitions. But I reached out to some companies trying to get some free models and stuff, and was really unsuccessful on that. So I decided like have a paper plane contest and then get some sponsors, have like little prizes or something for the winners of that. Also another idea was have kind of like a you know, like a car show, except for the airplanes, have, you know, a best high wing, best low wing, maybe best overall. That way the pilots kind of get involved in on kind of the competition too. The KDOT said that they don't have to have anybody speak if we don't want them to, so we're deciding if we want to have them speak, or if, well, I was kicking around maybe the city manager doing kind of like a welcome speech. We don't have that, so maybe the mayor or somebody else. Now we'll have to figure that out. Let's see, other things. Jackson talking about like a comeback pack to all the pilots when they show up. It's kind of like a swag bag of all the things you can come back to Fort Scott. There's a lot of free activities. You know, we can give things, or see if we can get some maybe like a round of golf. You know, some discounted items to whatever type of tours and things we have, so they can have something, so they feel, you know, special and like that, and then also a reason to come back and spend more money here. And it helps kind of show what we have to offer, even if they don't, they can maybe tell their friends or whatever, that sort of thing. Let's see, I think we had some.
How long will they approximately be here?
Originally she said about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but since it is the lunch stop, I didn't ask to clarify since I did find out about the lunch stop. So I would say 2, maybe 2.5, or somewhere between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours probably is what I'm thinking. So I know I had asked for volunteers last time on being able to help as far as day of sort of thing. I didn't know if you guys would be able to help, since it is much less now on maybe getting some sponsors for such items as, you know, like the activities for the kids, or just some petty cash to cover little expenses here and there that may pop up that we're not aware of. I didn't know if you guys would be able to. I mean, it doesn't have to be like an extensive, you know, I need you to go get 20 people a person, you know, 20, but if you got 1 or 2 here and there, that might help, that sort of thing. Let's see, what else as far as that? I've been working on getting a flyover. I put in the application with the government to try to get either B2, A10, something like that. I requested Air Force specifically, just because those are the cooler airplanes that are in our area, especially the B2. But as any of you know, that dealing with the government, sometimes that's a lengthy process, and so I'm currently stuck in waiting on the FSDO to respond, and I think I've been on about 4 or 5 day radio silence with them. They haven't got back to me, so tomorrow I'll check in on that. I guess my next question is: anybody else have any ideas or things that I maybe haven't mentioned as far as the air tour?
Last time, I think it was Larry, I'm not sure, had suggested having the trolley do a little run through downtown and maybe by the lake.
Yes.
Is that?
The trolley, that was one thing that Jackson and I talked about. The trolley will be there. As far as being able to have that, since it is such a short time, maybe we could have like a trip over the lake. That might be an idea. But I will definitely look into that and see if that is still something we can do. But with the shortened period, I don't think we can go to all the way to like downtown and that sort of thing. But if we have some areas close, we might be able to do that. But I'll get with Jackson and see. But he said, I was talking to him and he said he's got the trolley lined up and we'll have at least maybe a fire truck there. And I also said maybe we could get like a ambulance or something too. One, it's kind of an activity for the kids to look and see that sort of thing, but also with that many planes coming in and people being in close proximity to planes, there's a higher probability of somebody getting hurt, so or crashing, that sort of thing. So I figured it'd be good since it is farther away from town to have them closer in case there is an emergency.
Do we need to have like some volunteers to park the planes when they come in?
Well, that's one thing, I kind of asked for volunteers day of because that's one thing we will need, especially since Jason won't be there.
Right.
I've kind of got an idea if I can get, 4, 5, 6 people to, like have one kind of like a follow me to this area if they need fuel, and maybe have somebody, with probably me fueling, and have somebody else like, hey, park here, that sort of thing, and then, so yeah, it'd definitely be helpful, and I'll try to get some maybe some city staff to come help too.
What's the exact date on that?
September 23rd.
23rd.
Sorry.
I knew it was end of September, but I hadn't seen us on the stop, so.
No, the website still showing me a countdown to announcing, and it hasn't actually announced it yet, even though they told us.
Okay, awesome.
And I feel like that's all I really had to talk about.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they'd like to discuss?
Fuel pedestal with the hoses going in and out of the tank.
It's been 2 weeks since I've oiled it, but everything as far as I've been working.
That's gonna be a lot.
Yeah. I will definitely make sure it's good and lubed up with oil. But yeah, I try to go out about every 2 weeks and throw a little more on there just to make sure it's still. Well, the grease doesn't seem to really do anything. It's putting the oil on the actual chain that seems to make it work. So, and it spins off as soon as you go shooting everywhere. But so it doesn't last too long apparently. But it fixes it. It just doesn't last.
Not the line.
Something. I don't know.
What did you find out about the WEX card, the VEX? Remember we talked about that?
The last I heard, which I don't think I went back and checked after he talked to me about it again. So I will reach out to him, but I still have the same answer from the first time, but I kind of forgot about that. Okay. So I will make a note of that and check in with him.
What's what we're hearing from the city in terms of the replacement of Jason? Is that a position that they're going to fill, or is that questionable, or what?
As far as I'm aware, Susan can answer that. Well, I guess we have a new HR director now, but
We plan to fill it. We've been kind of transitioning. Honestly, I've been doing city clerk, HR, and finance, so we're getting it.
You could fill it.
I know.
Just add that to your
We're
list.
getting it posted. Let's just put it that way. So the position's being posted. There is talk amongst the commission to possibly share that position again. So that hasn't been discussed with Seth yet, but it's definitely going to get filled. So he'll get help.
And that's not is that a full-time position or part-time?
Yeah, it
That's
used to be
full-time.
just 3/4,
Okay.
and I think we moved it to a full-time.
it was 3/4 many years ago, and then it went to full-time, I think, when Nathaniel was there. And then after Nathaniel, I posted it as full-time, but when Don, he had qualifications, he'd worked at airports before, I was like, well, he would work, but he could only work so many hours. So he took it to a part-time, but in the summer, I got a summer hire to help offset. And that worked nicely, but I feel like a full-time position would be better.
because the situation worked nicely, but I feel like a full-time person would be better.
Okay, any other questions or any concerns we need to discuss?
I had a request for financials, if you'd like to look at those.
Sure.
Oh, there's something about when you do get someone else on there. Thank you. I would like to see where somebody comes in the morning and they join afternoon and then somebody goes a little further in the afternoon. Because we're needing help sometimes pulling the airplanes in and out. And, see if we can split that up a little bit, so somebody's there a little longer.
Okay.
And I know we can't have 3 or 4 people, but well, you're gonna need them when those airplanes
Well,
come in.
the only issue is on days, I mean, it works the days that we're both there, but when on days like on Monday when I'm there or Sunday when he's not there, you can't have a 16-hour day. So it's just one of those things you got to kind of. But then if you alter the schedule, then if he's gone or I'm gone, then you have a posted schedule of that. So I mean, it's flexible, but if you post it, then it's a little more firm. So you got to kind of.
Well, you know, last year both of you were gone. That can't happen again.
What is that?
That was when I had the police come out and find out why the back door was open on the terminal. And everybody was gone, but the doors were wide open. We got there like 7 in the morning. There was nobody around. So they went in with guns drawn just to see if anybody was in there stealing something.
Do we have alarms on that building?
That's not how that happened again.
Bill, there's a copy of finance. You might want to share that with Mary. I don't think I've got it
The financial copy over there.
right there.
You got one to work from?
I'll share with him. I'll kind of talk to you about it. So, for budget purposes, I always put together, there's more than a 10-year recap. There's about a 20-year recap there. Across the top is the past, and probably the second section is more current. And it shows you that based on our revenues versus our expenditures at the airports, we actually run in a deficit. So I just wanted to show that because Bill had come and asked me about how much money we make at the airport, and I said, well, we really subsidize it.
Mm-hmm.
So questions about that?
When you say you subsidize, what happens to the money that comes from the Department of Transportation, like from Kansas, KDOT? We get a grant from
Those are always grant dollars, and so they are in a separate fund, and they are specifically used for that grant purpose. They don't go back into your operations.
Okay.
So like for the AWAS, we have the grant, and it's specifically for the AWAS.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of money do we have in the fund now?
I do not. I didn't bring current financials. I can bring those to you guys, or I can send them out to the group so that you can see that. But it's going to be pretty standard to what we have had in the past as far as how much money we're making, and it's always based on fuel sales. So if there's been a lot of flying going on, then we got more sales, but then we also have to buy more fuel, and so they kind of offset each other.
I see. Okay.
So we really don't we don't have anything that helps us generate a profit except for the fuel.
Yeah.
So is there like an annual report or a monthly report that shows fuel sales?
Yes. Yep.
So that might be something
For in the future, you guys would
just
like
at
to
the next
have.
meeting maybe
Yep.
have to look at. I mean, I'd just be curious to see how we're trending with fuel sales from year to year.
Yeah. I'll just plan on getting you guys. You'll have to just remind me when they're having meetings, and doing the budget report for you.
Okay.
So I guess since we're talking about, income and losses and all that kind of stuff, is there any talk at the city level about doing things to create additional revenue out there at the airport? Again, we talked about hangar space and how you go up to Kansas City and you can't find a hangar. You're on a 2-year waiting list or whatever, and Joplin's the same way. And I don't know where Pittsburgh's at right now, but that'd be a way. I don't know that we could maybe spend some money and create some revenue off of hangars.
I think we'd probably start here with the advisory board if you guys can come up with maybe some suggestions, and then once we get a boss for him, then we can kind of coordinate that effort.
Are you
And
saying you want to raise hangar rates again? 'Cause I'm for that.
I'm saying build more hangars.
And that
know,
is
get more
actually,
planes in.
that is on our 5-year plan to build more hangars. So it's in our capital planning. I don't remember what year we put that in, but it was brought up for this year. I want to say it's two years out, because we have so many other big projects we're doing, like the mill and overlay that we're looking at, and the city's contribution to that. And so there's always a grant match, and so we have to take those into consideration before the other. So, okay, so you asked about hangar, and I can get you that information. But I think from administration perspective, we would rely heavily on the advisory board to come up with those kind of ideas, and then whoever is supposed to be over the airport with Seth will partner with you guys to really promote that with the commission.
I would like to point out, though, that if you look at the numbers for the last few years, it is trending in a better situation than we have been over the last 20 years. It's not back to zero, but it's getting closer.
Okay, anything else we need to discuss or questions?
We're pushing for that. Where you step up the step, get on the ladder. It's not a ladder, it's a rolling ladder. And I've been looking at some, and they're anywhere from 200 to 3,000. I don't think we want for $2,000. That's
only the best, right?
If you get the best and you don't ever want anything else, why buy second and have it fail on you? But no, I understand. But I figure we can get one that's really nice for about 500. I've been looking at them.
Okay, I'll look into it. I'll add that to my list. I'm looking for a truck at the moment to replace the one that we had to give to the lakes. We're using that for the money that we got from all the COVID money. We're gonna put that towards some truck.
Well, I've been measuring, and I figured I haven't found one that I like yet for that ladder. I know we need something around 72 total height. And I'd like to get it so the top deck is a 4-step ladder. And it's 8 inches in the steps. It's 32 inches high. Works real well. They don't make one.
You mean you don't want to use your built-in step on your plane?
No, no. I used to be able to get up on there, but I'm a little old for that now. So anyway, when I find the right one, or if you can find something to that effect.
Okay.
I got on a regular ladder that was in the hangar and climbed up some of the steps, and I liked it, but they're so far apart for old people to make that step. I have fallen off of a ladder before, and I hit the back of my head. I thought, well, am I going to be able to fly this leg? So that's why I'm kind of forward to get something a little bit more sound, and it's got to be wide enough that it doesn't topple.
Yeah. Then you just got to watch out for the heaviness of it too, because you have to tip it over so it doesn't blow away.
Well, I think what we need to do is, if it's a roller, we need to be able to roll it off onto some cement, put a padlock or chain so it can't blow away. That's the way to stop that. Because you're having, again, I'm getting to the age where I can't pick things like that up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you do that because of the wind, you gotta pick it up or something, or someone doesn't padlock it, and then it.
And if you get it too light, it's going to blow over. If you get it too heavy, it does get over. You can't get it back up. But I'd like to get something nice. They got one up at Garden, and it's not bad. I think it's too narrow. I have to go look at it. And then where I found out about this was at the paper place where you buy pens, pencils, and staples and places like that. Only it was the other one. I don't remember what the name was. But they had one. It's a Cotterman, and I really liked it, but I couldn't find it in the book on the internet. So it's like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna go see if I can't get that number again. So, but if we put a little pad out there for it, put it behind so they can't, don't hit it with their wing coming around, and it shouldn't be over the pumps anyway. But I've always tried to train people, don't taxi any wing over the pumps. It just doesn't happen. So that's what I'd really like to get for that.
other concerns or questions? Well, if we don't have any other questions, we should maybe, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move we
Do you want to set a time?
Oh,
for
I'm
next
sorry. Yeah, we're gonna have
one?
another
As you
meeting.
said, we may want to have another one before the September 23rd.
This is what day is this? This is like
The
August
4th.
Wednesday, the 4th. So what's the first Wednesday in, is that too soon?
That's September 1.
Yeah.
Oh, that's August.
Might want to go just a little closer to the
That's
event.
kind of what
That's
I was.
what I was,
That's what I was thinking. Either the 8th or the 15th.
but we don't wanna be so close that we can't find something or change something
Yeah.
and get ready for it too.
I mean, it's your call. Whatever you guys want to do. It's your board meeting.
Any of those dates work for me, but is anybody else?
15th works good for me.
Okay. How about everybody else? 15th work? Works fine for me. Okay.
At noon?
Yes.
Is that
at
enough time to get anything done if you needed, like, to do anything before the air tour? I mean, that's 1 week.
Seth will let us know if there's something that needs to be.
Yeah, I mean,
Need some
Hard
people.
press to
Jackson
get
and I,
stuff done.
I mean, really by that point, you should have everything pretty much lined up. It's just fine tuning of who needs to go where, you know, that sort of thing. We need to go buy this real quick, that sort of stuff.
If something comes up,
Mhm.
we can have an emergency board
There you go.
Okay.
Well, do you, again, as far as fundraising and stuff, I mean, do you want to give each of us a list of 5 company names or something like that to call, or is that just up to
I mean,
us?
that's kind of up to you guys. I mean, I may give you 5 companies, you don't know anybody, but you know 5 other companies that
Right.
they want to do it. So that's why I was like, you got a couple,
reach
you
out
got
to
mine. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to really be a whole lot. That if we get somebody to sponsor the meal, that would be the big one. Then everything else would just be, like I said, small stuff.
Sure.
I was gonna reach out to maybe like Dairy Queen or something, get, you know, like some, maybe a free ice cream cone or something for like the kids, for the, you know, something simple like that. But other than that, just,
Is the meal, are you looking at just like grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, or are you looking at?
there'd probably be something like that, yeah.
not hamburgers, hot dogs are a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't know if we want to try to showcase a local restaurant by having them partner to have their stuff.
That's what I was gonna talk with Jackson about, who we thought we should approach first, and then,
Yeah.
and, you know, who has the ability and what we wanna highlight too, because that is, you know, kind of, you don't wanna do something generic and, you know, just go buy a bunch of hot dogs.
Exactly.
And you get hot dogs. You wanna have something that's a little more.
Like a little
Or maybe
dessert
if
or
we
no.
have 2 or 3 restaurants.
Or even-
I was gonna say, maybe we, so it's not all on one, because that's a pretty big group.
Yeah.
Maybe we do, you know, 3 different restaurants,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they have a choice, and we showcase more.
Yeah.
Like similar to like
Yeah.
what they've done with Forks and Corks even, and having
Right.
Yeah.
someone, you know, cater. That would be nice.
Or if we could find a.
I mean, need somebody who knows how to cook hamburgers, because I hate eating raw.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I do not like that.
I can burn them.
Huh?
I can burn them.
Well, I would be more apt to eat a burnt one than a raw one.
Well, I know you know it's important too, but with us being the first stop,
Yeah, we need
wanna make
a
good
wow
impression.
factor. Yeah.
So, you know, whatever, let me know
Mhm.
if you want to have a little subcommittee to meet to, you know, assign some ideas for people to pursue or whatever. We have.
And that's the other thing. Like, if we don't have to have an official meeting. If you come up with an idea, just give me a call and like, hey, I was talking to this person. We thought of that or whatever.
Okay.
So they basically get to eat for free if they fly in, or?
That's what we're trying to do. I mean, if not, worst case scenario, either minimize the cost or they can, but preferably we're not charging people if we can help it.
This is a great opportunity for our tourism.
Yeah.
And so I think they'll be highly involved. Jackson will be, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's all over. It's just we had to kind of restructure. He was working on one thing, I was working on. They were working on these things. So now we got to come back.
Will the public be coming to this?
I mean, it's open to the public. I'm not going to advertise it as like a huge public event just because it is a very short period, if people show up, people show up.
What
But
I'm saying is that if we're getting all this food out there, you kind of have an idea how many people
Yeah.
will be there.
and that's
If 100 people come from the public.
Yeah.
then
that's why I said I'm not really advertising it as a public event, but
you might have to give them a ticket or
Yeah.
something for one free pass through the meal or something.
Yeah.
I think they've done that before.
and that could be in the swag bag that we hand them. Like
They
you
do
got
that
to
at fly-ins.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
they do. If you fly in, you get a free meal.
Yep.
I believe it's what it is.
just give them that, and then the kids obviously that's pretty easy.
And that's another option, I guess, with food. I mean, we've had in the past several, they're not local, but food trucks that have come in. And I thought it would be a good idea at some point to do like a food truck fly-in, get some of the food trucks that have come to town out there. But that would give you the option to have, the public, if they come out and purchase food or a voucher for the pilots.
I mean, my guess is that, hey, if you've got 30 planes flying in, people around town are gonna be like, what the heck's going on at the airport?
Yeah.
We haven't let them know.
And I can tell you the air show that we used to put on years ago, the kids loved it.
Oh, yeah.
They really did.
What, 300 to 500 people?
Yeah, they were big events.
But yes, they.
Especially if you're coordinating a flyover.
Yeah.
We're working too.
But
Yeah.
I'm hoping it works out.
Yeah.
These folks that are flying in don't want everybody crawling all over their airplane.
Exactly, and
They
that's
don't want that.
that's why I'm trying to, like I said, I'm not advertising it, but if a few people do show up, it wouldn't be that.
What they do, the kid will jump up on the plane,
Yeah.
falls off, runs forward. I've had a kid run backwards with the tail of the elevator.
And that's why we were kind of aiming for 8th grade-ish, because that way, they can still kind of follow instructions without having to worry about them too much. And if you say don't touch it, they're probably not gonna touch it.
There you go. Those little kids are just wild.
Okay, now what I would also like to talk about is the following year that we have an air show like we used to have. And I'd just like to put that in the thoughts in the month of September, because the weather's a little cooler. I don't want to have it in the middle of July when it's hotter than the hubs of Haiti. And we could do like we did before. We had a lot of things going on at that particular time. I don't know if you were around, Seth. You weren't around.
I was around for one. I think I'd moved to Kansas City at that point. There was the airport days that I came back for, but other than that, I've been gone for.
Yeah, because we were real successful giving kids rides in airplanes. I think I sponsored. I had 5 of my planes, and I had volunteer pilots myself, and we flew over 100 kids that day. I started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't stop flying until 6 o'clock that night. And we did take them around the city, and then I let the kids fly the plane. And it was just,
And that is an option we could do at this event. I mean, we will have some kids there, so it'd be a smaller, more controlled environment. But once we'll have to get people that would volunteer to do it. I think you've mentioned it, but it also depends on if their insurance will cover it, and we probably have to have a waiver by parents and stuff. So I mean, it is a possibility.
I don't know if any of you are members with EAA, but EAA has the Young Eagles program, and that's basically all that they do. But I know if you're a member of EAA, you're covered on their insurance for the Young Eagles flights. So, and it's like $45 for the year. It's not
And
super
that was another
expensive to
thing.
join.
I forgot to mention, I reached out to Civil Air Patrol out of Kansas City and talked to them about possibly coming down, and he said he was going to mention to his board. I haven't heard back from him yet. So that may be another thing that's going to be here.
Just to be clear, you're talking about what we had when Randy Harris was here, came down and talked?
Yeah.
Okay, versus air show, aerobatic displays and stuff like that?
Of course, the only thing about the aerobatic display is coming up with enough money to pay for that. And the city always kicked in a little bit of money, but they didn't kick in a lot.
Yeah, I know we always had to go get sponsors, and
Yeah,
I mean,
and
you
it's-
spent months trying to get sponsors to get
I
enough
know
money.
I went out and
Yeah,
I even got sponsors from Kansas City, some of my
Yeah.
business people up there, but it takes a lot of effort to do that.
That's a lot of planning. I know for St. Joe, we have one every 2 years, and basically after you have one, and then you get about a 6-month window, and then they plan for the next one. So it's about a 1.5 year process of planning.
anyway, that was kind of my thoughts, you know, we'd
Yeah.
be planning on another one.
Well, I move we adjourn.
Do
I'll
I hear-
second that.
do I hear any ayes?
Aye.
There you go, we got it.
All right.
I hope Diane's back for your next meeting.